I don't personally believe that you have a marketing. What I think you have is a gatekeeping problem, and not in the traditional sense of gatekeeping. I'm talking about three gates that are standing between I like her, I trust her, and I want to open my wallet and pay her $5,000. And I'm willing to bet money that you've probably only built one gate, and that's toward the I like her and I trust her. So everybody talks about the know, like, and trust factor. And that's an entire formula. But I personally don't believe that it's the end all be all. So I want to hand you over an actual framework, the one that I use for my clients, because building more trust, honestly, it's really sending the wrong signal to high ticket buyers.
Booked and unbothered, confidence and courage, mindset and messy little moves of entrepreneurship.
Welcome to the Booked and Unbothered podcast, the podcast for high-value women navigating mindset, marketing, and messy middle moves of entrepreneurship. Here is where we turn clarity into cash and presence into power. I'm your host, Yarden Carroll, mother to three amazing boys, wife, storyteller, and brand engineer. Mic on? Let's get into it.
I want to welcome you to Booked and Unbothered, the podcast for high-value service providers who are not only building profitable brands and profitable businesses without shrinking, code switching, or over-explaining their brilliance. And I'm your host, Yarden Carroll, and I help high-value service providers not only package their expertise into a signature offer, I help them strengthen their positioning, and I help them build businesses that not only create more clarity for them, they are able to show up more consistently, and I help them create more capacity. So in today's episode, this is the first episode of a 4-part series on not only marketing through the lens of your high ticket buyer, but it's showing you how your high ticket buyer thinks. Okay. So right now we're in what we call a trust recession. And I want you to not only understand what a trust recession is, but I want you to utilize this information and this framework that I'm going to give you to see and feel what it is that your buyers are feeling. And there are 3 gates in order that have to open before anyone is willing to open their wallet or hand you their debit card. Okay. So by the end of this episode, you're really going to know all 3 gates by name. You're going to know exactly which one is closed the next time someone either ghosts you or on a good call, or if they lack to follow up with you. And you're also going to walk away with real language for each one. All right. So let's get into it. Now, I've told this story before. It's not something that I love to tell, but I'm going to tell it again because, in my opinion, you need context and you need receipts, not just a reframe and not just a framework. So I can recall spending quite a bit of money with coaches, masterminds, on courses, ads, you name it, I bought the whole shelf. Okay. And I can remember one particular coach who convinced me to go after dental implant marketing. Now, what's weird is that I remember seeing nothing but dental implant marketing at one point or another. I don't see that too much anymore. But at that time, I had no audience for it. I had no credibility. And if I'm being honest, I had no real desire to build a business around that either, right? So for me, I felt like I bought the certainty, but I ignored almost every red flag that was in front of me because she was certain. So therefore, I borrowed her belief. So I was certain. And somewhere along the way, I decided that her certainty could just stand in for mine, right? So 30,000 turned into 40,000. And then at some point I was making money, but I stopped sleeping at night. And I would be in a room with my family or in bed with my husband, and I actually couldn't sleep. And eventually I had to sit down and not only tell my husband this bad investment that I had made, but I actually had to come to the realization that I really trusted someone more than I trusted myself. I'm opening with this because your buyer is probably doing the same thing. And you've probably never clocked that she's trying to become me. And I say that because at that time when I hired that coach, she sold me a blueprint. And now I didn't want to become her, but I was certain that if I followed this, then everything else would work itself out, right? So I want you to think about that your buyers should not have to become you in order to invest in you. And I want to also reframe that every let me think about it, or when somebody ghosts you after you had a great call with them, that's not always them doubting you. A lot of the time, it's the version of them that has either invested in someone, trusted someone, and it didn't work out, right? So if you don't understand that, you're going to keep writing marketing that's begging for someone to trust you, when what that person actually needs is a reason to trust themselves enough to hit send on that email, or to ask the right questions to see if your program or your course is the right thing for them. So here's what I built in the aftermath of that debacle, because I got a little obsessed with trying to figure out exactly what has to happen in someone's head before they say yes to such a large purchase. And I'm not talking about vaguely or blindly trusting someone. I'm talking about a real sequence. So I call it the crown decision method. And it's 3 gates in order. It's head, heart, and then the identity. Here's the part that changes how you'll think about every stalled sales call going forward. I want you to think about the last failed launch that you had. And your launches don't typically fail because all 3 gates are closed. They fail because you have gotten really good at opening 1, maybe 2 of those gates, but you never really noticed that the 3rd gate didn't move. So let's go through them one at a time. So gate 1 is the head. And there's a simple and very concise question that this person is asking. And it's, does this make sense for me? And the head is the logic gate. It's about math. And there's a sales coach who I respect, and she does a very good job of breaking this down. And she talks about how a $97 offer is often driven by impulse and curiosity versus someone who's buying something that's $5,000 and up. They really need the numbers to not only add up, but it has to align before they even consider getting on a call with you. So those are 2 different areas of the brain that are working. So you can't market a $5,000 or $10,000 offer or price tag to someone with the same energy and the same language that you would a $97 offer. And you definitely can't expect that gate to open. So here's where most of us lose this gate without ever knowing what happened. Okay, so we mistake an agreement for clearance or for permission. So I want you to think about the last call that went really well, but you still weren't able to close them, where the person may have said, this makes so much sense, right? I really needed to hear this. And then they ghost you. And you walk away thinking and wondering, did this person trust me enough? Like, what did I do? Like, what happened? Where was the breakdown? But I want you to listen to what this person actually said. This makes so much sense. That is the head opening. It is not the same sentence as, I'm certain enough to spend $5,000 or $10,000 on this right now. Now you can win the head completely and still lose the deal, because the head was never the only gate that you needed to open. And there's also a positioning strategist whose work always comes up. And she says most coaches and consultants aren't losing clients over skill. They're really losing them because the decision, it still feels very unclear for the person they're asking to invest. And when a decision feels unclear, they're not going to say no. They're going to say things like, let me think about it. Or you hear that in your DMs and you assume it's a money objection. And half the time it's that the head is still logically, it can't make sense of what it is that they're buying. So if this person is standing at a fork in a row where every option in front of them sounds identical and nothing tells her or him specifically that this was built for someone exactly like me, then it's not going to close, right? So one more thing about the head gate before we move on is that it doesn't open in one sitting. And there's an old rule of thumb floating around these internet streets that really talk about the amount of touch points that it requires for someone to be exposed to you before they even consider hopping on a call with you. Something like 7 hours of total exposures or 7 to 12 touch points often is what it takes for someone to feel like they know, like, and trust you. So if we're talking about roughly 7 or 11 touch points before a high ticket buyer's head gate is fully open, then I want you to think about this logically, what it is that you're doing and saying in your marketing and in your messaging at each of those touch points. Like, I definitely don't want to pretend like this is gospel, but when it comes to high ticket buyers, you definitely need more touch points. You definitely need to be able to articulate what it is you do and how you do it in a way that not only conveys conviction, it helps them connect with you on a different level that other coaches and consultants have not been able to do. And every coach I know who's tracked her or his own sales cycle will tell you some version of the same thing. And it's that nobody's logical brain or head gate is going to open off of one reel, not one announcement, not one post, and definitely not 4 stories, right? I think it's a bit trivial and juvenile to expect someone to see one reel or 12 stories and think that they're logically going to want to buy something that's $5,000 or $10,000. I mean, think about how long people have been following you, or you've known people before they started working with you. And I want you to think through that lens. So gate 2 is all about the heart. And this is where everybody's marketing to. So in my opinion, this is the gate where most people don't have a problem. They don't have a problem because everybody's been told to build this know, like, and trust. So I can almost guarantee that the trust gate or the heart gate is not closed. It's almost been embedded in us. It's like beating a dead horse. So many of us know the know, like, and trust factor, especially if we're selling to high ticket buyers. Okay. But the heart is more about warmth. It's about, does this person see me? Do I feel seen? Do I feel heard? Right? And it's proof that is not cold. It's the testimonials. It's that sound like a real person. It's the video testimonials that use real buyer language. And it's a voice that many people recognize, and it's consistent across your content, it's consistent across your sales pages. So this person is not getting a different version of you every single week, especially if you are marketing to this gate correctly. But here's what I need you to hear, that the heart can be as warm as apple pie, right? And that gate can be open, but it does not mean that logical head gate or the head is open. And if the head is not open, then I can assure you that the third gate is not going to be open. And I've watched so many people trust brilliant, beautiful, genuinely honest coaches, but they still would not buy from them, right? And everyone around them assumes that it's a trust issue. So they pile on more warmth and more content about trusting, more behind the scenes content and marketing and messaging, right? And the more come get to know me. And then the offer still falls flat, okay? Because the heart was never the gate that was closed. And it was never the real problem in the first place. But gate number 3, honey, this one is the one that I'm starting to see not only a shift in the way people are marketing, and it's mainly because of us being in a trust recession. It's mainly because people are not trusting all of the content because people are constantly cranking out content. They are using AI clones. We're being inundated with so much information that sometimes it is hard to trust. But gate number 3 is about the identity. And at this stage and at this gate, they're asking, am I ready to become what this person promised me? So if you have all 3 gates aligned, if you have the head gate open and they're asking, does this make sense? And if that's a yes, and if you had the heart warm and open, they're answering the question, do I trust you? And that's a yes. But if gate number 3, they have to know that, and not only trust you, but they have to trust themselves that they are ready to become the exact thing you have promised, or they're ready for the exact outcome that you promised. And there's a shift happening right now where the smart ones are getting it, but there's almost nobody is marketing to the identity gate. And this is the heaviest gate by far, especially when we're talking about high ticket buyers. Okay. And a $5,000 yes is not just about, can I afford this? Or do I like her? Or do I trust her? It's, what does it mean about me if I do this and it doesn't work? Not what will people think? What will the person who's investing in it think about herself, about themselves at 2:00 in the morning when they're laying in bed next to their spouse who they probably didn't ask permission, or they're afraid to let them know about another investment that they're going to make because the first 2, 3, 4 did not pan out. What is that person going to think? What am I going to think if I make this investment and it doesn't work out again? So, and that's the identity risk. And it's so much heavier than money. It's so much heavier than logic every single time. And there's a piece underneath that too. And you can call it defensibility, because can someone explain this decision to their husband or to their spouse or to their business partner? And can they explain it in their own inner voice? And then in 6 months from now, still make it make sense? Can they stand behind that? And that's the level of conviction and the level of marketing you have to do at that gate. It's so much heavier at the identity gate. It's so much heavier. I don't think enough people understand the weight of the identity that somebody has to believe and be convicted before they make that decision, before they open that gate up, right? And they want to know, if I make this decision, will it make sense for me six months from now, 10 months from now, 5 years from now? Can I still stand behind this as the best investment I ever made that made sense to me? And most sales pages, they answer the head, the logic. They do it well. They market to the heart pretty well. But the identity, it sits there completely untouched, quietly killing closes, and nobody can explain why. Right? But I'm here to tell you why. And I put a crown at the top of this framework on purpose. And it's not because it was cute or well branded, but it is. But it was really because the identity is the crown level question. And this is not about whether or not I can afford this. And it's not about whether I like her or I trust her. It's really about, am I the kind of woman who does this for herself? Am I this type of buyer? Am I the woman that's going to show up and do the actual work? And that's the gate that has been closed for so long for so many brilliant women who have made these investments in the past and it hasn't worked out for them, right? So that level of identity that you have to speak to, it's deeper. It's deeper than that. It's deeper than knowing the know, like, and trust factor, right? And it definitely has nothing to do with the price point. And for most women or most people you're trying to reach, it's not about the price point. It's about the actual language. It's about the actual feeling. It's about being seen and heard and seeing something that addresses the identity and that deep layer and that deep nuance that they felt because they couldn't sleep at night. So let me give you some actual language to address the identity aspect, because it really is useless advice without verbiage attached to it. So right now I'm seeing a shift in the language, and I'm seeing the people who are nailing it right is they're saying things like, this is not going to fix you because you're not broken. This is really going to give you a system or a structure that enforces or reinforces the thing you already know how to do. You just haven't had the container for it yet. And that's the type of language that does more work than an entire testimonial page or sales page that's marketing to the head gate and to the heart gate. Because you just gave her permission in advance to not treat a hard 6 weeks as a verdict of trying to prove their worth. And as far as defending the language that you use, if somebody asks you in 6 months, what does this look like? When somebody asks you why you invested in it, here's what you can say is that you've handed them the receipt before they even bought anything. You've given them permission to not only make the decision, but let them know that they've already had the tools. They just never had the container and they didn't have the structure or the system to operate it. So therefore, what do you actually do with this? So I want you to go back through your last 5 emails, last 5 sales calls, your last 5 proposals that you sent out. Any messaging or exchanges that you had, if they resulted in someone ghosting you or saying no, I want you to diagnose them one gate at a time. Was it a head gate that was still closed because your offer sounded like everybody else's? Was it the heart gate that was actually fine? Meaning one or more testimonials was never really going to move the needle? Or was it more about the identity, the gate that nobody really talks to or markets to? The one where that person is not ready to make a decision because they don't know if they're ready to become someone who spends that amount of money on themselves yet, or if they're ready to do that work because they don't trust that they can make that type of investment and show up, right? So I want you to stop treating every stalled sales call or conversation like it's a trust problem and pouring more content on it and building more trust. I want you to diagnose the gate that's not open yet, right? And speak to that one. And that's really the whole episode. And if you keep nothing else, just keep that framework when we're talking about marketing and messaging and mindset, and keep this information about the head, the logic. Does this make sense for me? The heart, the warmth, right? Do I trust myself? Do I trust them? And then the identity. Am I ready to become the person that invests in something like this? Am I ready to become the person they promised I'd become, right? In that order. And you're probably currently only marketing to one. Most people are marketing more toward the heart, but you have to market to the logic. You got to market to the heart, to the sensibility, to the trust. You got to market to the identity. So the key takeaways from this episode: 1, the Crown decision method. Head, does this make sense? Heart, do I trust you? And the identity, am I ready to become this? All 3 have to open. Most of us are only marketing to one. Okay. 2, let me think about it. Almost always means head, not money. It has nothing to do with money. It's about the logic. So if your offer is really sounding like everybody else's, at that time, they're not ready to make a decision. Okay. Because the person you're talking to, they can't make a decision if it's unclear, because they can't locate a difference between you and what the competitor offers. So they often will stall. Okay. Number 3 is the identity is the gate that nobody markets to, and the people who do it well. You can hear it in the language. And this is the heaviest one. You have to name it out loud and what it means about your ideal client or your ideal buyer if they don't do the work. And what will she say or he say about this decision in the next 6 months? And you'll close deals that more trust content never could. I need you to name it out loud. So you have to be able to talk to what it means about your person if they don't do the work. And what will they be saying about themselves in the next 6 months if they don't do this work, if they don't join this program, right? And I can almost guarantee if you start to market to the identity gate, you'll close a lot more deals than any trust testimonial content ever will. Next episode, we're going all the way into the trust recession. We're going to talk about what it is, what's causing it, and why this fucking guru wreckage of the last 10 years is the reason why your genuinely good offer has to work twice as hard for someone to believe that it's going to work. If it resonated with you, please like, subscribe, share it with a friend or a coach or consultant who has been sitting on either a launch or a service that they have not put out into the world. I would love to do this work together. If you want to work with me, the link is in the show notes. Please leave a review so other people can find this. And until next time, stay booked, stay clear, and stay unbothered.